like a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together, it's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Greetings, Glitter Gang. Happy Thursday. It's 2 o'clock. It's not quite 2 o'clock. I started a little bit early. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, October 14th. You're here for Kathryn Scraps Live. I'm Kathryn, and today we're going to be crafting live the advanced version of the Quick and Easy Fold Pocket Album, which we also did for our Christmas in July special. I have glitter nails for the fall. I'm fully fall ready. The feels like temperature yesterday was 92, so fall isn't ready for me yet. Let's see what it is today. It's 93. Feels like 93. So, you know. I'm not asking for it to be cold, but it can move from boiling lava hot to warm. I would be okay with that. Kitty, come onto the desk. I've been trying to lure Kitty on the desk so she could say hi to you guys, but she is like committed to the floor. Probably because I'm trying to lure her onto the desk, so she's like, suspicious. That's suspicious. That's suspicious. That's right. That's right. All right. So today is Thursday, October 14th. We have book club in 2 weeks, I believe. Yep. Book club in 2 weeks on the 28th. This is the book club book up here in the upper right corner, The Last Flight by Julie Clark, for October. And I did want to talk just a little bit about Book Club 2020 because I have a different idea for Book Club 2020, which is that I would pick all the books ahead of time for the entire year, and that we would just have one set book per month, that they would be a variety of books. Did I say 2020? I meant to say 2022, but I guess I got bored halfway through the word. So, oh, hello. Hello. Thank you for coming to visit. I just had to stop paying attention to her. And then all of a sudden, the desk was enticing. Hello. Hello. It's a cat. It's a kitty. It's a kitty cat. All right, so she's gonna go bite my pens. Oh, hello. Okay, you wanted me to pet you while you bite your pets. Yeah, I mean, basically, we're just in a holding pattern with Kitty. We're just trying to make sure Kitty doesn't become 25 pounds. Like, we have yet to... She just bounces in between, no matter what we do, she just bounces in between 15 and 16 pounds. I don't know if it's all the lizards she eats, lizards and roaches and things, like anything she finds. I don't know if that what her deal is. So I think what we might do is, if we can ever get Kitty by herself, I think we could get her a good healthy weight, but it's hard, you know, it's hard with 3 cats. So we're just in harm reduction. We're trying to keep her from eating herself to death because she has no off switch. Honduras has pretty crappy cell service. That's too bad. That's too bad. Okay. So basically, my thought for 2022 was that I would just pick all the books. I would pick a variety of books from a variety of genres, from a variety of authors. Some of them would be long. Some of them would be light. Some of them would be not so light. And just to give you an idea, and then the goal would be to pick books that were a little bit off the beaten path, but not totally off the beaten path. So, like, it's not going to be all stuff that was in Reese's book club, Oprah's book club, whoever's book club, you know what I mean? So to that end, I did make this. Ta-da! So what this is my thoughts on 2022. So here on the right, you have the day that the books would be discussed. And then here on the left, you have the 11 books. So, for example, The Love Story of Missy Carmichael by Beth Morey was recommended for book clubs. Where a Man Called Uva was a popular choice, which it was in this book club. So then we have The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rohan, which is the February book, because it's a romance. Then in March, The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Peter Swanson is a pretty popular thriller author. The Kind Worth Killing, I believe, is his homage to Strangers on a Train. Then The Island of the Sea Women by Lisa C. is a little, I believe, a little more serious. The only book I've read by Lisa C. is that footbinding book that she wrote, Snowflower and the Secret Fan, which I thought was excellent. I don't think this is as serious as that. Then I picked The Lager Queen of Minnesota, which looked dumb, but also in a really fun way. It's about a family dynasty of beer and then rivalries between the family members, like some kind of Budweiser thing. Like if Budweiser was a family that had a major familial split or something. Then Deacon King Kong by James McBride. One of my favorite books I read this year was The Good Lord Bird by James McBride. This book is even more popular than that book, even though The Good Lord Bird has a TV show. So I put that on there for that reason alone. Then The Great Circle. That book's 600 pages. That's going to be a chonk. And it is about basically Amelia Earhart, but not about Amelia Earhart, you know what I mean? So it's like about a fictional pilot to become the first pilot to like sail to, a female pilot to sail to Antarctica or to circle the globe over the poles, something like that, disappears, and then it's a split timeline between her in the past and the actress playing her in a movie in the present. A Place for Us by Fatima Mirza, which is a family like multi-generational family story. I think it takes place around a wedding. The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter by Hazel Gaynor, which is an Irish book. And it's about a lighthouse keeper's daughter who one night during a storm pulls something out of the water that causes their whole community to be upended. The Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich, which is, she's a really famous Indigenous author, and this is about, again, it's a fictionalized, but it's basically about her, her grandfather. Her grandfather was a major Native rights activist, went to D.C. This is about a major Native rights activist who goes to D.C. It's about her grandfather, but it's not about her grandfather, okay? And then A Redbird Christmas by Fanny Flagg. Now, Fanny Flagg, she, this book is, people said only sweet and doesn't have the same bite of Fanny Flagg's other books. So I think that, you know, some of her other books can be, you know, the social commentary is pretty incisive, and I don't think there's as much of that in this. I haven't read it, don't know, haven't read any of these, so we would all be discovering these books together. But I figured to have it all laid out like this, knowing when each book is going to come up, that's going to help you with your library planning, with your time management. It's a good mix of books. I know some of these authors. I've read some of these authors. Like I've read Peter Swanson. I've read Lisa C. I've read James McBride. I've heard of Louise Erdrich. I've heard of Fanny Flagg. And then some of these others I haven't heard of before. And they, you know, could be good, could be bad. Every single book on this list has an over 4-star rating with over 1,000 reviews on Amazon. So at least some people like them. They're very popular with the people who have read them. Some of these books have over 10,000 reviews. Some of them just squeaked over with 1,000. There were books that almost made the list that didn't because they didn't get to 1,000. So that was basically my criteria, was just what are some books people like talking about in their book clubs? What books have worked for real book clubs was kind of the research that I did. So that's this. So yeah, so like for example, The Great Circle, book number 7, again, like I said before, that's over 600 pages. That may take 2 months to read, depending on how busy a person is and how much time they have to read and how fast they read. That could take a long time. 600 pages, that's like 3 books, 2 or 3 books that are of shorter books. So that might require more time management. You might want to be reading that at the same time you were reading Deacon King Kong or The Logger Queen of Minnesota. Night Watchman is also long. I think Night Watchman is also over 600 pages. Those are the 2 off the top of my head. Island of the Sea Women, I don't think it's short, but I don't think it's that long. So some of these may require some time management, which is another reason why I wanted to get the list out early. Get the list out early. So Island of the Sea Women. Let's just see. Let's just see. How many pages? Yeah, the Island of the Sea Women, by the way, editor's pick for best in literature and fiction on Amazon. Over 7,000 5-star reviews. And it is 383 pages. I was wrong. Just about 400 pages. That's a normal size book. It's about Jeju Island, which if anybody has ever seen a Korean drama, then you know Jeju Island is a major vacation destination. So all of these books had both digital and audio editions available at my library, so none of these are Amazon exclusives. That's another thing I checked for. Yeah, I mean, that's my thought. That's my thought. I already picked all the books. Basically, I propose we do this. Unless anyone has a really strong objection, let me know. But I think this would be, it's a different way to try it. We'll just see. We'll see how good I am compared to like all the other different book clubs. By the way, I'm leaving this up so you can screenshot it if you want to kind of like start getting yourself organized with these books and see what you want to do. But this is what I think we'll do for 2022, unless there's any really strong objections. I think it'll, first of all, it'll protect you from my time management. Sometimes, you know, the book gets out a little bit late if I'm not on the ball about choosing the books, voting, etc. There have been months where I didn't pick the next month's books yet, so you can put them on hold and people couldn't get them. So if we did it this way, then that wouldn't be a problem. None of these books are brand spanking new, I don't think, so they shouldn't have a lot of hold time. I'm just going to go check. I put them all in a tab in my library to see. Yeah, so like the Love Story of Missy Carmichael I would have to put on hold. The Kind Worth Killing I would have to put on hold. Lager Queen of Minnesota I would have to put on hold. But all the rest of them seem to be fine. So like I said, that's what I'm thinking. Again, if you have a strong objection, let me know. But otherwise, I think we'll do this. I think this is what we'll do. We'll just pick the whole year ahead of time. We'll see how I do. If I did a good job, maybe we'll do 2023 this way as well. I have 11 books on here because the way the October-November thing worked between like where October ended and where Thanksgiving was in November, we had the same problem next year that we have this year. So that's why there's 11 books on the list. And we're reading the 11th book halfway through December. So that's why I picked a Christmas book. Now, the other book I thought of was Little Women. So that we would have a classic, because we did read a classic for Christmas last year. So I thought about putting Little Women on there because even though not all of Little Women takes place at Christmas, there are some like really major scenes in Little Women that do take place at Christmas. So I kind of think of it sometimes as a Christmas book. But that would have been the only classic. So in the end, I went with this one, which is, I mean, I think Fanny Flagg, I mean, it's not new, but I don't know that it's a classic. So, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe things can get adjusted as we go. So, yeah. So some of these books are on here just because I wanted to read them. Well, let's just say there's no books on here that when I read the description of them, I was like, that sounds terrible. I'll put it on the list anyway. So it's not like there's books on here that I don't want to read, but like specifically I want to read Deacon King Kong in next year. That's a book that I had on my mind that I wanted to read. I've had The Kind Worth Killing on my mind to read. I've had The Island of Sea Women on my mind to read. As soon as I heard about The Lager Queen of Minnesota, I thought that sounds crazy. I would like to read it. The Lighthouse Keeper's, not The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter, The Night Watchman has been on my list to read. So a lot of these books are books that I personally wanted to read. So, which is not to say that they're all like 100% my taste. There's books on here that I wouldn't have chosen to read. The Great Circle, for example, I probably wouldn't have put on a list. Not that I don't want to read it, but that's just not, I'm not hugely drawn towards historical fiction lately. I have been in the past. Used to be my favorite genre. Lately, I'm not as interested. That doesn't mean I won't be interested in the future or that I don't find historical fiction interesting when I do occasionally read it. So yeah, good. You know, we'll see. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about doing. So again, these are the 2022 books, as you can see from where it says 2022 book club selections. The book for this month is right here. And then I'm going to read you the books for December. Remember, that's November/December, so that you have those. And those are, let me get rid of this. All right, so those are In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, which is like a Groundhog Day kind of setup, or a time loop, I think it's officially called. Royal Holiday, which is like a, I think a, you know, girl meets prince or boy meets princess kind of holiday prince setup. And then This Time Next Year, which I honestly don't know. I don't know anything about it, by Sophie Cousins. And the previous one was by Jasmine Guillory. So Royal Holiday is by Jasmine Guillory. All right. So those are all the books for the rest of 2021 and all of 2022. And yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I should have checked to see if they all had book club guides since those always go over so well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a recording break now, so that all that book club stuff is just on its own video, and I'll put that just in the archives, and then I will start with the project, and that'll go in both the archives and the album basics guide. So, all right, I'm just going to do a quick recording break. So if those of you who are watching live, nothing will change for you. And if you're watching in the recording, then that's it. I'm done talking about books for today. So, all right. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now. Greetings, Glitter Gang. Happy Thursday. It's about 2:20 on Thursday, October 14th. I just got done talking about book club for 2022 and what we're going to do in book club 2022. So if you have access to archives and you're interested in what we're doing for book club, go find the book club folder, just search book club in the archives, and you can see what we discussed. All right, so I'll tell you what, let me know if you would rather read Little Women, or like, we can change the book club, because I saved that little file so that I could manipulate it if I needed to manipulate it. So we can change to Little Women if you guys want to read a classic, since we're not reading a classic this year. Like I said, Little Women was this close. Little Women was this close. It was very close between Little Women, and now I'm talking about books. And I just said I wasn't going to talk about books. But, yeah, it was very close to read Little Women. So if you want to read Little Women, we can do that. I mean, one of the best books we read last year was A Christmas Carol. Oh, you're just going to do it on your own. Maybe we'll just read both because we have a month and a half. We could do both. And then we'll read 12 books. How about that? How about that? Well, we can talk about that in October of 2022. We have a year to figure out what we're going to do. All right. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to keep that list, and that's what we're going to do for Book Club 2022, which is sweet, actually, because I don't think that there is all right, so here we go. Where we left off with the book is we had just finished the second, is it the second pocket or the first pocket? It's the first pocket. So we had just finished the first pocket. Okay. I was in high school, I was in Little Women, a production of Little Women. I played Marmee. So I'm very familiar with Little Women. I've read Little Women a number of times. I've read the whole series, actually. And then I've read, seen all the different movies, except for the one that just came out. I haven't seen that one yet. All right, so we had just finished doing this one. So now we just need to keep chugging along, I think, with our pockets, right? I'm going to just trust that past Kathryn set these up properly. I don't know why I would do that. You know what? Let's not trust past Kathryn. Let's just not do that. Let's just not. Let's not. Let's double check her work. Okay. So. These poor past Kathryn. I know, after she worked so hard getting Book Club 2022 all organized, and now she's still getting trashed. She's still getting trashed. See? Okay. So this must go here. This one goes here. Yeah. So if this one goes here, and then she set this up, this one would go here. The way that she set it up, the way that she has it, is like this. Yeah, that works for me. She can keep it. Let's just make sure that the pockets are going to line up, even though it doesn't really matter because they're inside. But let's just check anyway, and the pockets will line up. So we'll go ahead and keep it like so. So she did set it up. Poor past Kathryn. Poor past Kathryn gets no respect whatsoever. None whatsoever. Poor thing. All right, so, oh, I want to take the book down? Yeah. I didn't even realize the book was still up. All right. So, here we go. So I'm just going to ink the pattern paper with the blue ink that I've been using for the project, which is Faded Jeans. And then that is going to go at the bottom. And then this will get stuck to the pattern paper. So I just want to make sure that I poked my hole. I did poke my hole, so I can go ahead and stick this down. All right. Hope you all had a great week and weekend. We got, we decided to get AMC A-List for the summer, which is you pay $25 a month and you can see 3 movies a week, up to 3 movies a week. Because our favorite local theater is currently being operated by AMC. Now they haven't put their name on the building or anything like that, so I don't know what the deal is exactly, but they said it was for C-19 reasons. So I know that the company that owns the theater went bankrupt, but not like the fully bankrupt, you're out of business bankrupt, but like you're trying to figure yourself out bankrupt. And this has something to do with that bankruptcy agreement. So regardless, because AMC currently owns the theater, we can take advantage of their A-List, because tickets at our theater are $18.95. So it's very well worth it to, if you even just go to the movies twice. So we are going to go, we're trying to go 4 times a month is what we decided, that we would think that it would be totally worth it at that point. Like we're really getting our money's worth. Okay, so this one is the bottom right. This one is the top right. Right? Yeah. So I need to put the dots at the bottom. Yeah, I haven't read anything Little Women related since high school, so I am curious what it's like reading it as an adult. All right, so now I'm going to punch my hole again. Oh, right. Okay, so I'm going to punch my hole. I'm going to see if I can try and pry it up. And then if I can't, I'll just have to tape the brad's legs. But I might be able to pry it up. Sometimes when it's 2 layers, it's easier to get up. But yes, I needed to temporarily stick this down so that I could then pull it back up pretty easily. All right, so once you start to get a run like this, you want to try and break that rung by try to break that run by moving to a different corner. All right, so I'm going to put my brad through it and then retape this and stick it down again. And I'll just retape it with 3/8 inch tape so that, you know, I've definitely got, let me see if I can pull some of this off. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to try to pull this off so that I don't have to line it up perfectly. So what you would do to not repeat this mistake is what I did last week, which is, you know, just put a little bit of tape right in the middle that you can easily twist off. All right, this is really stuck, so it's just going to have to stay. So there we go. The YouTube delay makes it hard to catch me before I make a mistake. So, all right. Happy belated Thanksgiving to the Canadians. It was their Thanksgiving this past week. This week on Monday, actually. I asked them all to save me some pie, and Monica was like, sorry, I ate all the pie before I saw this. Likely story. Likely story. All right. So I have to put this down in a way that I make sure I cover all of the cardstock from the first time it was down, because I wasn't able to get all that cardstock up. Okay. All right, there we go. No, I just stuck this on upside down. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm I'm gonna undo to remove the pattern paper that's the liner. So yeah, the dots need to be at the bottom. That's the problem. So ugh. Man, what in the... Oh my gosh, what the heck? Whatever tape, what this piece of tape was the strongest tape in the history of the universe. Okay. What a disaster. All right. So the way that we're going to have to fix this is we're going to have to mat this with blue cardstock. Man, this one is like, you thought you were all prepared, you idiot. Okay, so I'm now going to cover this and undo. Using more undo than I normally would because this is possessed. Clearly. Okay, this pocket does not want to cooperate. So now I'm going to try and pull this off again since it's fairly saturated with undo. Oh my goodness, all right. Okay. Any tape I have that's loose, I'm just going to go ahead and pull off. Actually, let me just try and pull off all the tape. I don't want to be taping over tape, over tape, over tape, over tape. If I can help it. I know. At least we got the strips off. Okay. All right, so all right, so this, ugh, my hands are disgusting. Candy says she finished her Squawk-To-Gon without any undo and only really wanted it twice. That's pretty good. To finish a Squawk-To-Gon without undo. Considering I can't even mat an envelope without undo, so... Good job. Okay. I'm just trying to clean all these like snotty little bits off my desk so my fingers will be less sticky. All right. Now, I think we might be at a place where we can attempt to put this together. So first things first, I have to repair this. So I'm just gonna cut. I think I might actually even have a piece that's this size. Yeah. All right. So we'll stick this down, and then we've also got to repair the torn tape here. So I'm going to take this and peel it back, and then just run tape from like halfway over it to the edge. All right, and then I can lay that back down. Okay, gonna burnish that. Then this piece, stick down. I'm not gonna go right up to the edge. I'm gonna leave about a 1/16 of an inch. I'm just doing that in case I don't get the edge perfectly. I don't want this to be touching the score line, or rather, it's okay if the piece itself touches the score line, but I don't want the tape to be touching the score line because I want the score to be able to move freely underneath it. Okay, so normally when I tape, I try to get all the way up to the edge. This time, I'm leaving about a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm going to hold this up to something lighter in color so you can see what I mean, since it's not so easy on the desk. But you can see here how I left a border all the way around. So I'm going to peel this tape. And I'm just going to try to fold under. And I'm going to concentrate on lining up this edge where it was torn and this edge that's the bottom. Because that way, if I need to trim, you know, I can trim off less important sides. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it over and take a look at it. And I am going to see it does need a little bit of a trim in just a couple places. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so that's that edge, and then I'm just going to run my bone folder along that edge because the rotary trim can kind of roll the edge under sometimes, the rotary trimmer. And then this edge, it's not as bad, but let's give it a whirl anyway. Yeah, it's so small that didn't even do anything, so I'm just going to leave it. All right. Okay, so now this is going to go in the book like so. So then this thing, which because its tape is still holding pretty well, I'm just going to run ATG inside its tape. But its tape is fully still sticky. Pretty much, except for maybe this little corner here. Okay, so This is the bottom. This is the bottom. Put the bottom on the bottom. Step 1. Okay, then this we have to retape. And its edge is getting a little weak, so I'm actually going to use a wide tape. So that I know it's not only stuck down where it's all like raggedy and stuff. And I'm going to just try, see how I have like a little notch there? Just going to try and flatten that out. See? All right. All right. We're in recovery mode, but I think we're going to do it. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and burnish. And then peel. Okay. And then we're going to just center this and burnish again. And then I'm going to really carefully just put like a lot of pressure on these rolled edges to get them really flat as I can. All right, and this is now done. So we now have the right side done. Okay, that was very dramatic. It didn't need to be that dramatic. I don't know why it felt the need to be so dramatic, but you know. All right, so I'm going to just take this and set this aside. Let's try to do the left side with fewer problems. Fewer problems this time, please. Okay. All right. Woo, we made it. We made it. I wouldn't breathe yet. I mean, we still have 2 more to do. I don't know if it's safe. I'm just going to ink this one also. And this one is dots at the bottom, this one is dots at the top, so I just need to make sure when I put this back after I've inked it that I do dots at the top. Okay. All right, so dots on the bottom, so I'm going to tape it, and then we're going to stick it down with the dots on the bottom. Then we're going to temporarily adhere this. And hope for the best. Barbara Jean, you gotta, you know, Barbara Jean says that she loves the tape stash she got, and she whispers sweet nothings to it every time it's used. Yes, absolutely. You have to respect the tape. You know, it's not like as fun as the pattern paper, obviously, but it is so necessary. Okay, so I'm gonna peel this tape. I'm gonna stick this down. The brad's gonna go on the back of this. Its legs are gonna go on the back of this piece, so we can stick this piece down now. That's why we're temporarily adhering this, so that we can then poke the hole for the brad and pull it up. Okay, now this is, we gotta be careful. The bottom, this is the bottom, because that's the opening. The bottom needs to be on the left, and the dots need to be on the bottom. Yes, okay, so bottom on the left, dots on the bottom, therefore dots go here. Okay, all right, so there we go. Now, for how to do the brad, the easiest way is to leave your tape on and put a little piece of tape there, then stick it to your clothing. Get some lint on it. Ooh, lint. Okay. Then put this where you want it. You know, get it all lined up and then press down. Okay. Then you can flip it over and punch a hole. Okay. Then, because you only used one tiny piece of tape and because you lintified it, you should be able to just twist this. The best way to get it off is to twist. And then you can stick your brad. All right. And then I'm just going to put another little piece of tape right next to the brad, just so the brad has tape on both sides, just for extra sturdiness. And then we peel the tape. Peel the tape. And then we can just stick it back down. All right. And now burnish. Yay, it came together without any drama. Okay, so now we'll do the bottom. Remember, this time dots at the top. So we'll just repeat those steps. So last night, well, not last night, it was actually technically like yesterday afternoon, but we decided to, we had there was I-round was $3.49 a pound. It was like cheaper than chicken breast. So we got it, and then we were like, what do you do with it? Because the only thing we have ever used it for is making roast beef for French dip sandwiches. We like put it in the crock pot with a bunch of onions and some beef stock, and it kind of makes the jus as it like cooks, which is nice, but there's only so many, you know, French dip sandwiches you want to have. So I looked up what to do with it, and one of the suggestions was Swiss steak, which I literally never had heard about, seen, whatever. Apparently it was like, it's from the it's from like the 1800s, was really popular at the beginning of the 20th century, so like the 1920s, 30s. It's kind of similar to Salisbury steak, I guess. But basically you cut your round roast. Okay, so this is the bottom, this is the top. Bottom goes on the left. and then the dots go on the top into steaks, and you brown them, and then you put them in a pan and you put like vegetables on top. And I guess it's supposed to be a way to use up whatever vegetables you have that need to be used up, because it's like it's supposed to be like a cheaper money saving meal. We just did mushrooms, onions, and we had a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. So that's what we did. I'm gonna put a little, I mean, the first one stressed me out. I'm going to lint it off camera. Okay. I'm going to set it into place. And you put that on top. So we put the mushrooms, the onions, and the diced tomatoes on top, and then you put it in the oven for like, you put that all in a skillet where you brown the meat. And then you put that in the oven with a lid on it. So we have a Lodge, I think it's probably a cassoulet pan technically, but it's like exactly the same thing as a Dutch oven. It's just not as tall. So that's what we use to brown the meat, and then we put everything in there, and then you put it in the oven for like 2 hours at a low temperature. So we did that, and then when you take it out, it was like, you know, add some cornstarch to thicken up the sauce, and you know, whatever. But the thing is, we did not have to do that. Like, look at, I took pictures of it because I thought it was so crazy. So like, this is what it looked like when we put it in there. And after an hour, they said to baste the meat. But like, look how much liquid came out of the tomatoes and the onions and the mushrooms. We didn't need to baste the meat at all. The meat was basically poaching. And then this was the end. This is how it looked at the end. And then this is the sauce after I just added a little bit of cream. So to like, you know, that's all I did. But look at, you can see I made my spoon swipe. And it just held that. It didn't need any thickening at all. It worked really great. So it's, I don't know. We had a good time with it. We thought of like a bunch of different ways you could like dress it up. And it was really inexpensive cut of meat. So real old school, but we had a good time with it, and it was delicious. And of course it made a ton, so we're going to eat it for a few days. And it wasn't hard at all. Like literally we just had to cut up and chop an onion, really. You had to brown some meat, chop an onion, and like slice your mushrooms, and that's it. Yeah. So, but yeah, we had never ate that growing up. So, I'd never had it before. You know, it reminded me of Salisbury steak, but just not with ground beef, you know. But yeah, it was super easy because it doesn't require, like, yes, it takes like 2.5 hours, but it doesn't require you to be doing stuff for 2.5 hours. Like you do very little. Mostly it's just like chilling in the oven. So, but it turned out really nice. We were really happy with it. Here's the gravy, like just sitting on top of the meat. It didn't even slide off. Like that's how thick it was. Like I don't know why the recipe said to thicken it. Maybe it depends on whatever you put like in it, right? Because like if you put up I put tomatoes and mushrooms, I mean, and onions. Those are all high water content. So I don't know. But I guess if you used vegetables that had a higher water content than what we used. Yeah, I couldn't possibly see how it would be necessary to thicken the sauce. Like that was literally the directions, was to make the cornstarch slurry and then to add it to thicken the sauce and then like cook off the cornstarch taste, you know? And I was like, why? Why? Okay, so we've now made all of our pockets. Thank goodness for this layer. So I'm just gonna stick these two together and set them aside with their friendos. And then I'm gonna do a recording break because what we're working on next is, I think these I started as the pocket liners for like the back of the flap And I have one, looks like we got 1, 2, 3 done. So I need to do one more. And then these I probably cut for the tabs. So we won't do these. I won't mess around with this right away. I'll just start with this. So it looks like I'm doing it this way. Okay. So let me do a recording break. In the next video, we'll be adding the liners and finishing the liners, adding them to the envelopes, adding the envelopes, and then if we have time, doing the tags. And then after that, we only have one more layer to go before this book is done. So if you are watching live, just hang tight. Nothing's going to change for you. For those of you who are watching in the archives or in the Album Basics Guide, just go on to the next video to see how this layer comes together. Bye now. So all right, so let me see, is this the right size? It is. Okay, so what size did I cut these? 1 3/4. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm just trimming this last piece down to what I need. And add tape before I do that, just to make my life a little bit easier. Yeah, well, when I was complaining about how like I'm ready to go from like hot to warm, a friend of mine showed me like it's 40 where she is, and I was like, okay, if I have to choose between 90 and 40, I will take 90. So that's fine. All right, I'm gonna need another roll of this soon. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ink these pieces, and I'm not going to ink the bottom of the larger piece because it doesn't show, and that'll help me know which direction to put that piece. Yeah, like if you just want to go to Costco, Candy, that's not worth it, huh? Candy's talking about how she has to get a test if she leaves Canada to drive to the U.S. She has to get a $40 test to come back to Canada. So no shopping fun in her future still. So yeah, so what was I gonna say? So we're gonna go see James Bond this weekend, and then I want to get Mr. Lifeguard to go to The Last Duel because 2 reasons. One, I really just enjoy Ridley Scott's stuff. I think he does a really great job. He's just a wonderful producer director. But also, I find Trial by Combat really interesting. And it's the Last Duel is a movie about the last time Trial by Combat was used to settle a dispute. So it's not a duel. The movie is not, it's not really, I don't think it's really named properly exactly. Because the consequence for the woman, if her champion lost, was that she was going to get burned at the stake. So it's not like 2 guys were, it's not like a duel like you think of, like when somebody insults somebody else. It's definitely trial by combat, like, so. But yeah, like some countries didn't even eliminate, like I know in the UK they eliminated it in the 1800s. Now they hadn't used it for a really long time, but it stayed on the books a lot of places. And I just think it's really interesting concept that like legally that used to be a way that you could decide to set, like have your day in court. And so I'm curious to see about it. The only thing is, and I like Matt Damon. I don't want this to sound like, I don't know how to put this, but he is one of the 2 combatants in the trial by combat, okay? The other being Adam Driver. And like Adam Driver has a medieval looking face, okay? Like he has the look. But Matt Damon has a Hollywood face, okay? Like he just looked, I don't know. Like hopefully his acting will convince me, but just seeing him on the trailer, I was like, I don't know if this is the right vibe. This is not the right vibe. Just like, you know, Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator, their faces kind of lend themselves more towards yesteryears. You know, like they don't look like they're from Hollywood necessarily. Like Joaquin Phoenix can look attractive and he can look like he's from Hollywood, and Russell Crowe same thing, but they don't automatically have that like Hollywood, I live in California. I mean, I know Matt Damon's from Boston, but I mean, you know, he's got the Hollywood look. He has a baby face, exactly. And so like they have all this gnarly scarring on his face, so he's got facial prosthetics in the trailer at least. And I'm like, it's because Ridley Scott also knew that Matt Damon didn't have the look. So they messed up his face. So, but anyway, I love Adam Driver. I like Matt Damon too. Love Ridley Scott. There's a guy in it also who you probably know him. If you watch the first season of Damages, he was like Glenn Close's, he was that Southern attorney in Damages. And he's got like a Eastern European name, so I can't think of his name. He's like shorter in stature. He's a great character actor. He's in it. Like it looks like everyone is gonna be cool. Like so. Kitty's sitting on top of the printer. She's like, so she can survey her little kingdom. So anyway, I want to see that. I'm curious about that. So I'm going to try and drag Mr. Lifeguard to that. I have seen 2 superhero movies this week, so I feel like he owes me anyways. So, so we'll see. They're talking, there's some chatting about spices in the chat. If you guys are, we stopped buying spices from the grocery store a while ago, a couple years ago, and it is so worth it. We get spices from My Spice Sage, and we're also probably going to try the Spice House, but like the spices are so much fresher. Like I can't tell you how much better cumin smells and tastes when it hasn't been in the grocery store. And they ship them in bags, and what we do is we freeze the bags if humidity doesn't matter to the particular spice, or if the humidity does matter, like onion powder, for example, we have a tin where we keep those spices with desiccant bags, you know, like the do not eat bags that ship with like your shoes or whatever. And it makes a huge difference, and it's cheaper actually. It's cheaper actually in a lot of cases. So like there's Penzeys is a spice company. There's My Spice House, which is run by the Penzy family. But it's like a little, like a more restaurant-y vibe. So they have like really cool blends and stuff there. And then My Spice Sage, which we love a lot of their blends. And yeah, it's just definitely, and what we do is we just save any spices that came in glass bottles. We save those glass bottles from all of our old spices, and then we put them in there. So yeah, if you're looking for like very tasty spices for not too much money, check out My Spice Sage. That's the one I can personally recommend. And we're going to try the Spice House next, because a friend of mine says that she loves their blends the best. So we're going to give those a whirl. All right, so remember just to hold this one. Oh, hold on one second. I forgot the tape, but I think I can make it work. Yeah, all right, there we go. I was able to just very gently push down the bottom, so we're okay. I made it. I recovered before we were in the danger zone. All right, so now that I put the tape down, that just helps the tags slide in easier. I can just close it. And there we go. Yay! We did it! Okay, so now I'll pull the tape off just the bottom so that we don't have to have a dramatic moment. We have seen the consequences of failure to tape. So I do recommend it. It does make the tags go in so much easier. You just don't have to fuss with the tags. They just slide right in. All right. And then this one, I have this lip here too. I don't know what it's from exactly. So I'm going to tape over it as well. So I think I did piece some of these, so maybe that's what it's from. So, but I literally cannot tell a reason why it should be there, so I'm just going to tape over it. It doesn't really matter why it's there, but it is kind of funny that I can't figure out why it's there. So, But it's probably from me paper piecing, because I did paper piece them. All right, so again, when I lay this down, I just want to make sure that that middle piece is stuck down. Yeah, I was using up scraps, so that's probably where it came from. So anytime I see an edge, I'll just tape over it. All right. All right, so we got the left side done. Nice, 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 nice. So now we're going to do the right side. Thank you, Mary. I'm really happy with how the quilts turned out, especially since they are all paper pieced together. All right, so they're really impressive when you open the book. Every time I open the book, I am impressed by them, and I made them. So yeah, they're definitely one of those things that they just really look really impressive. Okay, so now we'll get the other two. And again, I'm going to peel just the bottom, and then we'll tape this over. And we'll tape. So, but yeah, I'm super impressed by Adam Driver as an actor. So I've even seen him in comedic roles, and he can do comedy as well. He was in that movie about the rednecks that robbed the NASCAR or whatever. Something that, but I mean, and it's he was in that with Channing Tatum and guy who plays James Bond, and they all play complete idiots, like just total idiots, but they're hilarious. Lucky something. Lucky something. But it's funny. They robbed some kind of track where people are betting. So like what they're robbing is like the money from the betting, but it's really funny. It's satirical kind of in some ways, and I think might actually, so that they were all in that, and they were all really good in that. That was during Logan Lucky. Thank you, Logan Lucky. That was during like James Bond guys. I can't think of his name right now. Like I know it, Daniel Craig. That's it. That was during his like Southern period. He had this period where he was doing all these Southern roles. Like he did that detective in Knives Out, and he did this, and apparently he really enjoys doing Southern American accent. He wants to do more roles like that. So that's kind of funny. So But yeah, so maybe we'll see more Daniel Craig Southern movies. I did think that was funny. All right. Last one. Is it hiding from me? Where is it? It's missing. Oh, here, it's under these guys. Okay. I was like, no. Ugh. Can you believe just one more page in this? And then it's back to finishing. We're going to do the third volume of the box set album remastered, plus the storage box, and then we will do the Goldilocks album. And that's, I mean, that'll take us the rest of the year, those things. But I'm really happy that we did this one. Turned out so lovely. Yeah, and Adam Driver's, like, if you've ever seen, I think it might be a TED Talk. He has I think it's a TED Talk on how he became an actor. And he talks in such a beautiful, emotional way about his time in the Marines, and how if it hadn't been for his time in the Marines, that he didn't think he would be able to be as good of an actor as he is, and that, you know, it really tore him up that he had to leave the Marines because of a career-ending injury. But like that's like a time he really treasures, and that it was through meeting so many people and observing so many different people from so many places and backgrounds that he was able to study people and get into, and that's why he's a good actor. That if it wasn't for the Marines, he wouldn't be a good actor. And I think that's really, you know, he seems like a really nice young man. So I guess he's probably my age. He's probably not too much younger than I am. He was in high school. He's probably about 5 years younger than I am, because he said, I think he was in high school. He had just graduated high school when 9/11 happened, and that's why he joined the Marines. So, all right. So now what we're going to do is we just need to make the tags to go in these. But look how pretty. Look how pretty it is with the two sets of quilts. Oh, it's so cute. The quilted page turned out really nice. Okay. Should I do another recording break? Just to be on the safe side? When was the last one? I'll do it. I'll do a recording break just to finish the tags. Wait, no, I just did one, right? Ooh. Hi. Sorry. Kitty. Okay. We just had a... Oh, I wasn't recording for any of that? Oh, shoot. I stopped the recording and didn't record any of that just happened. So, okay. Let me fix my nail. I can pull the recording off YouTube. It's just going to take me a day. So it's going to be a little time. It'll be a time. I just lost a nail too. So apparently today is just cursed. It's just cursed. All that means is that it'll, that section will just be a little bit lower quality. That's all that means. So just get my nail back on. It's probably not going to stay. Some sets of nails just don't want to. I will admit that I was in a hurry when I did these. So part of this is probably on me. I shouldn't blame the nails. So I lost several nails yesterday throughout the day, but then we had already gotten tickets for the movie, so I couldn't even start doing my nails till like 10:30 at night. And I was tired, so I just rushed. And that's what that gets you. That's what sloppy work gets you. Like, I can feel this one is thinking about leaving me as well. So if I have a new manicure next week, don't be surprised. Okay. All right, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the recording. So the section that you just watched in the archives or in the album basics guide, wherever you watched it, was pulled from the YouTube recording, and the next part will be doing the tags, and it'll be the normal quality. So oops. So all right, so for those of you who are watching, nothing's going to change for you. For those of you who are watching in the archives or in the album basics guide, go ahead and go to the next video. Bye now. Greetings, Glitter Gang. It's 3:25 and we are now working on the tags for the page we just completed. So we have 2 tags per page, 4 pages. So that's 8 tags total. So we need 16 photo mats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then we need 8 tags. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chomp these tags, and then we'll tape the photo mats. And we'll go from there. So what were we talking about before? Oh, we were talking about Adam Driver. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to see the last duel. And I've always been a fan of the Halloween franchise. And there's a new Halloween movie out with Jamie Lee Curtis and Judy Greer, which takes place where the last one left off, which came out a couple years ago. So I'm going to try probably and get my sister or my sister and her husband to go see it with me, because they both like scary movies, and my sister and I saw the last Halloween movie in the theater a couple years ago. So I think that'll be fun. But like I said, just trying to see 4 movies a month minimum, and then I can feel like if I see 5 movies, then it's like I saw movies for $5 each. So 5 is really like, that's like, okay, I'm really, really doing a good job here. All right. We watched the Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the movies that made us on Netflix, and we are going to watch the Halloween one probably tonight. We watched the Nightmare on Elm Street one first because Mr. Lifeguard doesn't go much for horror, but he does actually like Nightmare on Elm Street. But Nightmare on Elm Street is really stupid. So that's probably why, like, it's so campy more than it's scary, I think. But because he doesn't particularly like scary movies. So, but like Robert Englund is a lot of fun. So, you know, particularly as it goes on. But I remember one time I was home sick from something, and my mom and I, and it was happened to be when AMC or Turner Classic Movies or one of those was doing like a whole day of stuff about Halloween. So they showed like a documentary about the making of the first Halloween, and then they showed all the Halloween movies in order. And my mom and I would just like all day, we just watched all of that. So even my mom is now an expert on the Halloween franchise as well. But Robert Englund, if you like Robert Englund and you like check out, if you haven't, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, or it's called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And it's really funny. It's a mockumentary about the slashers and slasher films as if they were like real, like if that was like a job you could have. And Robert Englund is in it, and he's semi-retired from being a slasher, and he teaches other slashers. It's really funny. Like if you like those like the horror movies of that era, why do you like the Halloween movies? How are they different from Nightmare on Elm Street? Okay. Well, the Halloween movies like are all over the place in terms of quality. So I don't like all the Halloween movies. I would say the very first Halloween movie is almost like kind of is really taking Hitchcock's roots. I mean, it's like an evolution of things Hitchcock was doing to scare people, I think. So one of the things you notice in the first Halloween movie, if you see it a bunch of times, is that Michael Myers is in almost every single frame of the film, but you almost never see him. But he's always like, people will be talking and they'll be standing in front of a street, and like behind them, he'll drive by in a car. He's in almost the entire movie, but he's always on the periphery. So he's just this like looming presence. And I think that John Carpenter, who did a really good job of like with so little money, because they had like no money whatsoever. I think they made the whole movie for something ridiculous like $700,000, was able to really create this like this menace. And I always think about with that movie where Hitchcock says like, if you have a bomb on, he has a quote, it's something like, if you have a bomb under the table and you don't show the audience and it goes off, then it does nothing for the audience. He said, if you have a bomb under the table and you show the audience, then they'll spend the rest of the scene wondering when the bomb's going to go off. And like Michael Myers is kind of like that ultimate bomb, is what I would say. You know, he's that idea taken like to a real extreme. Of course, he does do terrible stuff, whatever, he's bad. But it's not like horror movies today in terms of the gore. You know, because it was like 50 years ago or whatever. And the second Halloween movie just picks up like right where the first one ends off. So the way the first one ends, you know, everyone's like going to the hospital, the cops are there, yada yada. Donald Pleasance plays his psychiatrist. He's a major element of, he's in several of the movies. Of course, he's a Hitchcock actor. So yeah, it's more about suspense. Yeah, it definitely has the suspense. So a lot of horror movies, it's just about like someone jumping out from somewhere and you like startle, and that's where it comes from. But with Halloween, it's not that. It's like, you know, he's out there, and you're just wondering when he's going to do something, what he's going to do, who he's going to do it to. It's kind of like that. So I would say that compared to other horror films, it definitely has like a Hitchcock vibe. That suspense is still there, you know, and there's still, okay. There's still, like, that still matters. You know, like I know one of the original things one of the things John Carpenter talked about in the documentary that I saw, and this was many years ago, so this isn't the Netflix one, but he was talking about how he screened the movie and they couldn't afford music. So he screened the movie and it didn't have any music, and like the person he showed it to was like, you got to get some music because it's just not scary without music, you know. And so like the Halloween theme is very famous now, you know, and it is famous for building suspense. So now, if you don't like horror movies in general, you can probably watch Halloween. Like I said, I watch it with my mom. She hates like violence for violence sake, but she was able to watch it. You know, it's like not anything on, like if you made it through Saving Private Ryan, you're probably fine. Of course, it does have like a lot of things that are tropes now. You know, babysitters getting killed and stuff like that. But you know, at the time, were not tropes. So, but like compared to Friday the 13th, I think it's just smarter than Friday the 13th. Now, the Freddy movies, I think Wes Craven is very smart. What he's doing is very interesting, but the movies themselves are just kind of dumb. So, like, I just think the technology wasn't there for Wes Craven yet, you know. Like, I think they did a really good job with what they had. But they then leaned into it over the years, and Freddy is, you know, he's just funny, campy, you know. Like, Robert Englund is clearly just having a good time. So, yeah. But, you know, you may not like them. You know, your mileage may vary. But I would say of the old school horror, that's probably, I like it much better than Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Although Nightmare on Elm Street has its own kind of charm, I would say. And Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's in Nightmare on Elm Street. But like, I mean, they're about a guy who wants to kill his sister, really. That's what they're about. Like, he's just very determined to kill his sister. And he just really can't. He just really struggles with it. So, it's like, so it's many, many movies of this guy trying to kill. And his sister is Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, not all the movies in the franchise have him in it. The franchise, like, gets weird in some places, and, you know. But anyway, a few years ago, John Carpenter and Michael Blumhouse, who's like kind of a new horror film, lower budget horror film director, and Jamie Lee Curtis and all them got together and made another Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't think I did tape the inside of the last bunch. I'm going to have to go back and check them all. And with Jamie Lee Curtis, where she's like understandably, she's like a survivalist. She lives in the woods, and her house is all booby-trapped, and she has like 3,000 guns, and, you know, because she's just sure that Michael's going to get out of his asylum and come get her one day, you know. And so that movie came out in like 2018, 2019. And then this one picks up where that one left off. So, and like I remember from that documentary that I saw that John Carpenter was talking about how they wanted Christopher Lee to play his psychiatrist, but Christopher Lee passed, and that he later, many years later, ran into Christopher Lee at a party, who said that one of his biggest career regrets was not being in Halloween. So, you know, the franchise really did develop quite the following. And all right, these ones are not taped, so we're definitely going to have to tape them. Not that Friday the 13th doesn't have its following and Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't have its following, but you know, in a lot of ways, Halloween is also the start of that genre, the slasher genre. So, I mean, Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is really probably the very first one. But it's in terms of like the one guy that's going around the neighborhood killing everyone indiscriminately, like the faceless villain in the mask, that does come from Halloween more than Psycho. Although obviously Halloween, hugely inspired by Psycho. So, you know, nothing new, etc., etc. Did I get everybody? What about you guys? Yep, everybody's taped. Okay. All right, so these are all taped. I'm going to burnish these. I got a kitty on the move. Kitty on the move. Kitty on the move. Yeah, I think the third one's about like some evil toy company. Maybe. Something like that. You know, you're just like, okay. All right, so now we just need to do the paper at the tops of the tags. Hello, ma'am. You gonna sit on the printer? Thank you. She's like a lion on Pride Rock. Okay, so I think I already cut this to the right size. I did. And I already started taping it, so we just need 16 of these. Nope, I don't need this arm. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna mark just kind of sloppily where I need to put my tape so that I can just put the tape and cut through the tape. All right. So, but yeah, a lot of the early horror movie filmmakers too were doing a lot of social commentary, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about the meatpacking industry and how bad it is. Stuff like that, you know. So not quite the same now. Now a lot of it's just about being shocking and whatever. I guess because people get used to stuff over time, so you kind of have to keep upping the ante. But someone who I think is doing a really good job right now with going back to trying to just be suspenseful and creepy. Not that his stuff, I mean, obviously his stuff would have been too much, like if John Carpenter had tried to do it, is Ari Aster, who's made Hereditary and Midsommar, which are both, I think, very interesting. Okay, so I think we got 5. Did we get 5 tags worth? 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay. 4.5. All right. So I'll have 9 when I'm done with this piece, right? Alrighty. All right, so now I'm just going to put this on those lines that I drew. And then when I cut them, they'll be taped. So then all we have to do is punch and ink and start sticking all this stuff down. And then this layer will be complete. So we just need to do the last layer, which I think should be a page style C. That seems like we've only done one of those. So I think we just need to do page style C to do the last layer. And that'll be a nice way to wrap it up. Get the paper trimmer back out. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 6, 7, 8. So there's 6. And there's 7. And I'm just going to cut 1/8 of an inch off this to kind of get it back on track. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the first part of 8. And this is the second part of 8. All right, so that's a scrap. That's a scrap. Now we've got everything we need to finish our tags. The end is nigh. The end is nigh. All right, so going to start cutting these apart. I'm not going to cut all of them apart at once. I'll just do them in batches, I think. Well, no, let me just make a pile. All right, so let's see. So right now I have some in the fridge. I have some pork chops marinating. And I tried the teriyaki sauce soy from the company Soy-Vay, which I think is called that because it's kosher. But it was, and we've always used Kikkoman, but the Soy-Vay, especially as like if you're going to use it as a marinade, is so nice and thick, and it's got really good spices. So I recommend it for marinating for sure. So I have that on some pork chops. And the other thing I did this week that I thought was smart in terms of food, because like I've been talking about how we've been trying to be better about food, and being more prepared and stuff. And one of the things that we did this week is we used part of a jar of spaghetti sauce. And so I left the spaghetti sauce jar, the partially used jar, without its lid in the freezer for 24 hours. And then I put its lid on and I just left it in the freezer so that the next time we want spaghetti sauce, we'll have a spaghetti sauce. Because I don't know about you, but we'll use part of a jar of spaghetti sauce because it's just 2 of us. We don't need a whole jar. And then the jar just like sits in the fridge for 5 million years until it gets molded, and then I throw it away. So now when I'm trying to be really good about using stuff in like a sensible way, I know it's going to be a while before I need spaghetti sauce again. So I'm going to freeze it. So that's So that's in there, and so I left its lid off for 24 hours because it has such a high, tomato sauce has so much water that I don't want to burst the jar. So that's why I left the lid off. And then once it was frozen, I put the lid back on. So now, next time I want to have spaghetti, I have a jar of sauce I can thaw in the fridge. And I'm not wasting the second part of a jar. So I'm really happy about that. We're going to I'm trying to just be really smart. Well, I know someone with a freeze dryer who freeze dries tomato sauce, which I know is not the same thing as spaghetti sauce, to use to make tomato paste. Because like when you rehydrate the tomato sauce, again, that's tomato sauce, not spaghetti sauce. I don't know how much of a difference it would make, but when you rehydrate it, you just use less water than you would if you were rehydrating it all the way to spaghetti sauce. And then that way she never has to try and buy tomato paste and keep those cans around, or buy the tube. The tube's really expensive, you know, so she just, anytime she needs tomato paste, she just gets the powdered tomato sauce from the jar, and she just mixes it with a little bit of water to make a paste, and that's how she does that. So I mean, she's like 5 million miles away from where I'm gonna ever be in terms of gardening and whatever else, but that is something you could do, Barbara Jean, possibly. Kathryn says a friend's husband got a freeze dryer, and now her kids are addicted to freeze-dried Skittles. I wonder what that tastes like. All right, so I'm just inking these with faded jeans. I mean, it would probably work with spaghetti sauce, right? It would just be spiced because there's, you know, it would just be seasoned, whereas tomato paste probably isn't seasoned too much. But that wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? All right. Oh, that's a really good idea, Barbara Jean. And then you just rehydrate it later, and you have fresh, pretty fresh juice. Probably be fresher than a bottle that's been sitting around for a few weeks. All right. So I'm going to take these and stick them at the tops of the tags and attach the photo mats. And then we can put these in the book. And then when we come back tonight, we'll be working on page C. So yeah, so I'm trying to be a lot better about like getting more bang for my buck out of my food. And it's been working pretty well so far, actually. So it's funny because it's not that much extra effort. Like in terms of saving time, it takes less time to, say, freeze the spaghetti sauce, for example, than it does to constantly move the spaghetti sauce jar around in the fridge until we use it again / throw it out, which means cleaning the jar for the recycling bin when it's got like moldy grossness in it. And then buying a new jar of spaghetti sauce, which takes time and money. So, you know, like ultimately all these things are actually time savers, and none of them take that much time to do anyways. And it's really nice not to have the hassle of what are we going to have for dinner tonight? Are we going to order? If we don't order, what can we make with the stuff that we have? Because we didn't plan anything really. You know, okay, fine. So we're going to order because we can't figure out from staring in the pantry what we're going to have. Now we have to figure out who are we going to order from? What are we going to get? Etc., etc. And then if I get myself really organized, maybe I'll join Lasagna Love, which is where you can make, I don't know if it's only lasagna or what, but you can make meals for people in your community who need help, either for whatever reason, like one of the parents is sick in the hospital or something like that, or they just need a little help this week or whatever. And because I could make like, you know, lasagna is a huge pain to make, but like if you can just make two, you know, like it's not any harder to make two because you already had to prep all the stuff, right? So every once in a while I could do that, but I'd have to really have myself together to be able to do that. But I just heard about that recently. And my first thought was, do you think they would like a Kirkland lasagna? Can I just buy Kirkland lasagnas? Candy says that's one thing I love about cruising is not having to decide what to make for dinner. Exactly. I'd much rather decide which restaurant to walk to or which dining room to use. So that's that's gonna be that. So like I said, oops, gotta put this down first. So yeah, so we've got teriyaki pork chops in the fridge, and those are, you know, I got a tray of pork chops from Costco, and then when I froze them, you know, a few of the bags I put the marinade in them when I froze them, so all I have to do is just stick them in the fridge. I have a little pie plate to stick them in, and then they'll marinate as they thaw in the fridge, which that actually ended up being really nice. And I might do that with other marinades, because yeah, then you don't have to like thaw it and then you don't have to be so planned ahead, like you thaw it and then you have to remember thaw it 2 days in advance so that you can marinate it for 1 day in advance. My brain is too small for all of that. So, but could I marinate a bunch of things as I was breaking down the tray from Costco? Yes. So, you know. So this time I just poured teriyaki in some of them, but maybe next time I'll be better prepared even than that. Just getting organized with food and trying new recipes like Swiss steak, which we'll definitely make again. So Melanie says, I'm doing great if I remember to get something out to thaw. Love my Instapot that can cook from frozen. Yeah, Instapot is great for that. Absolutely great. For cooking from frozen, or I love it for like making stroganoff. That's one of the big things I make in it, because you know, it really gives you that cooked all day energy. When it didn't, it cooked for just a few minutes. So risotto, that's another thing I make in there. Instapot's great for that. Makes a really quick and easy risotto if you like risotto, but you don't want to stand over the stove ladling broth into rice. Because you just put the Instapot on a saute and you toast the rice like you normally would. And then when that's done, you fill it with your liquids. And a trick I learned about that is if you fill whatever measuring cup, if you use those Pyrex measuring cups, because you put a lot of liquid in risotto, so you use a big like glass measuring cup. If you fill it with if you fill it with vegetables, like let's say you want to make a mushroom risotto. Well, mushrooms have a ton of water. In fact, they have so much water that if you want to make a mushroom risotto, what you do is you fill your liquid measuring cup with your mushrooms, and then you pour chicken stock in it to like fill in around the mushrooms. So that, because the mushrooms have almost the same volume, like they're basically just water, and in the risotto, like if you put however much chicken stock you're supposed to have plus you add a bunch of mushrooms, it'll be too much liquid and it'll be soupy instead of creamy. And then you can do that with any vegetables you want. So you can fill your thing with like mushrooms and onions and whatever else you want in your risotto, and then you fill it with water. And that makes a quick risotto. And we've made a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different things. I will say one time my sister and I made turkey risotto with leftover Thanksgiving turkey, which was revolting. Do not do that ever. Cannot stress enough that did not work. How much that did not work. It was horrible. Horrible. Turkey was just too powerful of a flavor. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. All right, last one. Yeah. Almost done. Almost done. Kitty's on the move. I can hear her. Kitty. Are you on the move, Kitty? Kitty. Kitty's on the move. Last photo mat. Don't put it in the book. And then we'll be good to go. Okay. Let me just take this pile of scraps and sweep it straight into the bin. All right, now I just need to get the book out. And then just remember, oh, hold on. Okay. Yeah, maybe all right. All right, so there we go. Now, oh, ta-da! We finished another layer. so we just have the last layer left. We did it! We did it. We did it. All right, so who is stuck on what, huh? Okay. There we go. It's getting thick. It's getting thick too. I mean, it's a nice chunky little book. Chunky. All right. So, okay. Remember that it's going to be a while before the middle part from this afternoon's show is up. Because I have to wait for YouTube to finish doing whatever process they do on their back end that will then allow me to download it from my channel. And then I have to clip out the section that's missing and render it and upload it. So it may not be until tomorrow that the full show from this afternoon is up, but at some point the full show from this afternoon will be up. And then I'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time, which is 4 hours and 45 minutes from now. So I will see you then. Check the video description for links to my website, to the Facebook group, to the album basics guide for this project if you want to know how to make it yourself, to the archives if you want to see all my past classes, as well as a time zone converter to find out where I am going to be live in your time. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon and evening. If you're overseas, you're headed to dinner or headed to bed, and everyone else, I will see you tonight. And we'll be doing page style C on the very last page of the album. So our last layer will be a page style C. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.